Welcome back to the Conjugate Dads podcast. I'm your host, Dave Chase, with my lovely co-host, Justin Commandoris. Back from summer break. I think you said your kids are back in school this week. Is that correct?
Yep, they are back
Yeah.
in school.
Yeah, and daycare doesn't change, but they're saying it's a new school year. I said, well, the check still, cash is the same. So anyway, we're back. We're back from summer break. Took a few weeks off there. Happy to be back. We're going to continue our series of the role of fitness for parents. This is going to be part 3, the final part. So, Justin, I don't know if you want to kick off any like opening thoughts or recap anything we talked about last time.
I think that there's been a lot of things that have come across my desk in the last, I don't know, 2 to 3 weeks since the last podcast, just in regards to, being a parent and the all of the things that play a role. And for me, this summer was a bit of a shift. And mindset for me in a lot of ways, and they're all good ways. The kids finally had a bunch of other kids their age in the neighborhood um that moved in the last year. They've been outside all summer, which was just so awesome to see, but also requires a lot of patience and trust. And we're lucky we live in a neighborhood that's one way in, one way out, and it's quiet. It's mostly people that are older, and when you live in a neighborhood with a lot of older folks, eyes are everywhere and they're always watching. So if your kid does something stupid, you're going to hear about it by the end of the day. So they're they're constantly being watched. It's a group effort, but for me, kind of taking a step back and just learning how to not helicopter over them so much, but then also, and just kind of letting them play and do things that normally I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that. And I think for me, the other part of that was kind of learning to, um, instead of having so much into my bucket in terms of all the things that I need to get done throughout the day, really taking the extra time to spend with them, whether it's, practicing golf with Jack or coloring with the girls or whatever, if they want to work out, just like that. 10 kids will show up to my garage in the middle of, a 500-pound box squat, and they're all just looking at you like, okay. And you just don't have a choice but to you can get upset about it, or you can just be like, well, it's just an opportunity for them to see you
Yeah,
do something cool and have
sure.
have somebody to look up to. And so
Not
um
seeing that every day, that's for sure.
yeah, and so for me it was like, I don't know if people's parents train like we do or not. I would say most people probably don't, but it's cool for them to see that. And my kids specifically have really grasped the concept of I have to make Jack not work out sometimes because he does so much. I'm like, dude, you got to rest a little bit. And he doesn't
Yeah,
understand that concept. So, cause I don't want him to get overheated, but the girls are getting that way too. And so it's been a neat experience and eye opening for me to be able to see, especially with stay-at-home moms and dads that have a lot of kids, the multiple responsibilities that we have in order to take care of things, but then to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves too. Because there
sure.
was some time for me where, um, kind of like I kept eating decent, but I didn't eat like how I normally do. And after a while, you just start to not feel as good. So you have to figure out, you know, the different things that you have to do as your kids get older, as you get older, to make adjustments. And so I was telling my wife this the other day, but I feel like every couple years I almost have to reinvent myself to continue to move forward and make progress with whatever I want to make progress with. And so, when I went through my big transformation, I don't know, it's been let's see, 2019, 2020, so around that time, so 5 6 years, where I just got really lean. And we've talked about that process for me. And so I've been able to hang on to most of that, even as I've gotten older and gotten into my 40s. But I have to constantly reinvent myself with what I can get away with, because maybe now I can't go out and do the, the 5 mile walks because it makes my knees not feel great when I squat or whatever. So I have to really find that balance between, what can I get away with, and then the rest of it, then obviously that's where the nutrition aspect becomes more important. So it's been a it's been a summer of learning for me, for my body, and figuring out, like, you know, what where I can tolerate different things, and where I kind of have to pull back as I continue to try and make progress. And I think that's very relevant to this topic and this podcast, because we want to kind of look at what could be the ideal split or program that somebody needs to be following in order to be successful.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny you said that. Like you were like, "Oh, it's like the summer of learning," and like the thing that killed me was the 5 mile walk because I actually did that on Sunday night. I was trying to hit like an Apple Watch goal of like 86 exercise minutes or something like that. And so I went for like 5.5 miles on Sunday night. We put him down, and she's like, "Hey, if you want to go work out, like you need to do it now." Like I think we just pushed it because we were doing other stuff, and I was like, "Crap, it's 7:30 at night." So yeah, I actually spent like, an hour and a half doing that. And not the funnest thing the next day when you're getting up and you're like, okay, now I actually have to go resume my normal activities. And it's the other thing that really struck me was
Did you do that with a vest on?
I forget. I'd have
Yeah, that'd
to
be awful if you did. I mean,
I
not that
don't
it
I
can't
don't
be
think I
done, but
did. I
yeah,
don't think I did. I think I
it'd
just
be
rolled
awful.
out because I said well, it's like that extra like 35 seconds to put on the vest sometimes. I'm just like, I'd rather just get a tan, honestly. And then like after like
Right.
3.5 is like my like standard now. Like but it's funny you said that. Like it does start to creep in, but what are you willing to do to hold on to it? Fitness, nutrition, mental health, all that. And then what are you required to adjust based on the other responsibilities? Like, yeah, like husband and father first, but also like I like to call myself a house husband too, like doing all the dishes, doing the laundry as much as I can, making sure like things are clean, he's taken to daycare and picked up. I mean, you just said it, like scheduling that workout is so important. And I'm going to work out right after this. We just talked about it, right? It's Friday afternoon. Like, crap, I got to get my workout in. Let's fit in everything. Let's schedule things in. Because if you don't schedule it, it's not going to get done. And I think that that is the biggest point that we need to take away from what you said, that even though like they are just kids and they're having fun, like you're scheduling your workout time, you're scheduling the time to show them things, to have fun, take them to things. You said you went to Florida for a week and a half, like that's all scheduled out. And yeah, you're gonna have your days where you're just hanging out, maybe just sit by the pool or hang with the kids at the house. But there's, I would say 80%, 90% of our week is just very much scheduled.
Yeah, yeah, and again, like, there's what's great about the way that we train is that there's always room for auto regulation. Things get bumped back. Like, I'll give you a great example. Normally, I do max or sub max lower on Monday, condition Tuesday, max or sub max lower Wednesday, condition Thursday, Friday's dynamic lower, Saturday's dynamic upper, and then Sunday is just very light conditioning. But this week, a bunch of different things came up. Um, so like Wednesday was first day of school, and then also my wedding anniversary. We 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 love, my wife and I, our favorite pastime is to go play golf together, and just enjoy and have fun. And so I wasn't going to be so like strict on the schedule that it's like, well, before we could go to play golf, like I have to train. And it's like, number one, I don't know if you've ever played 18 holes and turned it on your golf on your watch, but it's like 2,200 calories move for me when I play golf. So like, I don't have to, I know I'm going to go way over on calories burned or whatever, move calories or whatever. So I'm not worried about moving. But again, like, I wasn't so stuck to the schedule that I was like, well, I have to get up at 5 a.m. and train so that I can go and do this. It's you're not able to serve two goals in that, from that aspect, because how good is my recovery going to be from that heavy upper session if I'm going and swinging a golf club as hard as I can, uh you know, over 100 times, let's just say.
Yeah. You're
If you're
probably going
if
to play
you're
like
good,
that.
you're swinging an average of 18 times 4. But most people are not that good. They're not scratch golfers, so they're going to swing double that, right?
Yes. 72. It
Yeah,
would be on the
that's
good
going
end.
to
Yeah.
affect your upper body recovery, right? So what do? I just bump a day. It's really simple. I just move a day over, and then I did dynamic effort today for lower body. I'll do just conditioning tomorrow, and then I'll do dynamic on Sunday because that's that free gimme day. And it doesn't have to be, I'm not suggesting that everybody's schedule could be that way. I'll lay out like what I feel like is the perfect schedule so that you can auto regulate, and there's a lot more freedom there, but it doesn't have to be so strict that you can't, move things around. Like it just that's not realistic, you know?
Right. No, for sure. And I know I said this to you on text, but happy anniversary. How many years
Thank
is
you.
this?
Oh, 2011 is we got so 14.
And then you were married a few years before your kids came along.
Yes.
Your eldest is 12?
She's 11, so she was born at January 2014. So we were married a good 2.5, 3 years prior
Yeah.
to um Megan conceiving. So, but we've been together since 2008, quite a bit longer than the 14 married. But anyways, so typically when you have all of these things going on in your schedule, that's where most people tend to kind of struggle with, well, I'll do one day here, one day there, and that just doesn't work. Like you do have to have some like understanding of where things need to go. And that's where I feel like that you have kind of really two options. I'll just jump right into it here, but you can either do it again, it always depends, right, Dave? Like before I
Conjugate Dad's
say anything,
podcast. It depends.
it
Yes.
depends. Like it depends on the person, it depends on the phase. You know as well as I do, like we jump in and out of a 3 day and then we'll jump into a 4 day, and then the conditioning's always there, but it just depends on like what we're trying to work towards. So if like somebody wants to be more fit and they're more worried about their just like their overall fitness levels, maybe we do 3 full body days and then 3 conditioning days, or 2 full body days and 4 conditioning days, right? But ultimately for me, there's really two strong options that fit most people's needs, and that will be like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, where similar to what you do, where it's like, a lower, an upper, and then a mixed day, and then conditioning in between those days for recovery and then just general fitness. Or you do 3 full body days, which that 3 full body strength days, which is what most of my moms will do unless they're super A type. And then we'll fit in those conditioning days based on what their needs are.
Yeah. I mean, I think it just goes back to everything we just said. Like you schedule everything out. If you knew you were going to do something on Wednesday, you bump the days. You already said, hey, I'm going to bump a day this week. I'm going to enjoy myself and use that as a good, fun slash recovery fitness day with my wife, spend time with her and auto regulate for what it's not just this week. And I do think that it falls back on people who don't have trainers or coaches or an idea of what they want to do 6 to 9 to 12 months or even beyond of what that goal is. My goals: always improve on fitness, increase PRs as much as we can, and be in better shape. That one day isn't going to kill me, but we plan it. And so it's just like people are flying by the seat of their pants every single day of maybe I'll work out, maybe I won't. And then what ends up happening is they don't work out. Oh, I'm too tired. I'm just going to take the day off. But I mean, listening to your body and also listening to like the long-term goal, or remembering the long-term goal, I would
Well,
say.
you got to wonder, like, how do people, and the answer is they don't, but how do people make progress
Right.
doing something like that?
Yeah.
And I think that's naturally where a lot of people kind of gravitate towards, hiring a coach, or at least, paying a subscription to an app where it's like, okay, even though this isn't made specifically for me. It's still something that like I can follow.
Sure.
And
It's a schedule,
yeah,
and
it's a schedule,
can I
right?
do 80% of it? Emily was beating herself up last night. She came home, or she had yesterday off, actually. Long day today, long day on Sunday for work. And she said, "Man, I am just so beat up. I think I need to take a rest day." And I said, 10 times out of 10, if you think that you need to take a rest day, you probably should. It's a conditioning day. You're not missing a strength day. And there are most weeks that she bumps the day. Hey, I got work on Thursday, but I'm off Friday, or vice versa. I'm going to bump it to Friday and just get it done.
Guess
Awesome.
what?
Good job.
And then if you have 5 days where it's strength, conditioning, strength, conditioning, strength, there's 2 full days of bumpage there. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So,
And
like,
she does do that, and she
you
loves it. She's like, I just got to bump it, man.
I you know, people will ask me, like, can I move those days around? I think moving the days around is different than bumping. Bumping is like any most really good strength coaches will tell you that don't try and like because what a lot of the women that I work with will try and do is if they miss a conditioning day, they'll say, "Well, can I do my workout and then the conditioning afterwards?" And to me, the reason why I say no is because you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you put it at the beginning, if you do the conditioning at the beginning, then what suffers? The strength,
Well, you're
right?
too tired to do the strength.
Right.
Yeah.
If you do the strength at the beginning and then do the conditioning, you're eating into your recovery because we want to get back to homeostasis as fast as possible. So, and I struggled with that when I first started coaching because I didn't find out until later on. And this was just me not being specific enough, but I was giving everybody like, hey, I want you to get your mile walk in every day and then your workout in too. And I didn't specifically add in there, hey, these need to be separate by 5 or 6 hours. And so people were doing their workout and then they would do their walk afterwards.
Yeah. I've done
And
that. I probably did that more than any of your clients. And you were
yeah,
like,
but
yo,
again, like, is that going to kill you? Not, no, it's
no,
walking,
but
but
yeah.
it's still eating into, that downtime that you have to have in order to get back to rest and digest. And so you have to be careful with that. And so in regards to like Emily, like if she comes home on Monday and she's like, dude, no, I did 16 surgeries today. Like I'm not
Quite a
in
bit.
it to win it,
Must be a
right?
lot of space. Yeah.
Right. So like she neutered, 15 dogs that day or something and then did brain surgery on 3 squirrels. I don't know. But like,
Yeah.
she's not going to want to train. And I
Sure.
would also say let's not, because your stress is so high. All you're doing is you're taking one stress and pouring it into a cup and then the other stress and
Yeah.
pouring it into the same cup, and that's not going to equal out any type of positive result. So you're better just to get the sleep and then come back to whatever day is that day the next day instead of trying to do yesterday's, or you could just bump everything over by a day. But combining stuff from a concurrent standpoint, like it could work, but you really have to know what you're doing, and for it to work and people to do it on their own, that it's
Yeah.
not going to be beneficial.
And the other thing too that was important to note is like she's on a deload week. So I said it's not really relevant if you just bump everything a day, even more so
What
because
if you
this light,
missed 3 out of the 4 days? Like, what would
it's not
the
going to
it's
kill
not
you.
really gonna
Yeah.
be that big of a deal
Sure.
because, again, it's a deload
Yeah.
week. So
Right. Which is different than, my neighbor's boyfriend telling me, oh, I've been moving out of my house. Yeah, this was like last year. I'm moving out of my house. So I just stopped going to the gym, these past 5, 6 months because I'm so busy. He's I think like 70 or 71. He's retired. You got 45 minutes. I mean, that's someone who I'm just like, I'm sorry, you're not too busy to get into the gym and get your workout done.
that's a prioritize and execute situation with mixed in with
Right.
discipline, right? It's like, it's probably not that important to you, and you just don't have that discipline for that thing built in enough. So that's where, and that takes time. Like, I had to learn to be disciplined to not only do like my job stuff, but then also be disciplined to say like, I work from home. I feel responsible for the things that need to get taken care of at home. And if they don't get done, then that's on me. Like, I'm not gonna I don't expect my wife to come home from 12 hours of stress of doing, all the things that they do in surgery for chest wall deformities
Yeah.
and all these different things, and then say like, well, you didn't do the dishes. So no, she wants to come home and probably get a little bit of a workout in, or go for a walk, or just decompress. And
Yeah.
so again,
Easier to decompress in a clean house.
yeah, oh my god.
Much easier, right?
Yeah.
Because it's the cluttered mind thing, right? It's a
Yep.
cluttered
No,
house,
it's
cluttered mind.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, if you sleep in a cluttered room, you won't sleep as good as if that room is clean. It's just facts. So, anyways, that again, discipline, priorities, being
Yeah.
able to
What's
execute
important to
those
you?
things,
Yeah.
right. So, when you look at that schedule now, you can say, well, you know, if I have all these things that come up during the week naturally, I can make the move to, or if you have a coach and you communicate with that coach, you can say, hey, we bump things over? Can we do this? Or I'm sick or whatever. Because, you know, you or I, we get sick and we're like, oh, we're just going to train. And it's like, you need somebody specifically to tell you, like,
Yeah.
hey, no,
Sure. Yeah,
like,
we had
let's
those
not.
conversations over the
Yeah.
past month or so. You're too sick to go 100% of what you usually are. Why don't we scale back to 70%? Still do it because I know you're not going to not do it,
Yeah.
but auto regulate for the position you're in because
Trust
you know
me,
you're
like,
yeah
if I know that I'm sick, I'm laying my ass down somewhere. Like, I don't mess around. Like, if I like, I am one of those guys. You see the memes that's like, wife gets sick and she does all the things that she normally does, and then dad gets a cold and he's like on the couch covered with a
yeah
thermometer in his mouth. Like,
yeah
it's the worst thing ever. Like, I'm probably one of those guys. I would rather be doing something, but if my body's telling me to go lay on the couch and
right
sleep and rest, like, there's a good reason for that. And so, again, the schedule of your program kind of gives back to what you're wanting to work towards, like what the goal is, right? Because again, like, all we're doing is really, and all my job is to control stress. So, like, as a coach, I'm controlling the amount of stress that you have coming in, and then giving you things to help you get better at handling that stress, right? So, like, if you're doing the zone 2 work, that's going to make you better at being able to tolerate more stressors. Same with the walking, you're releasing stress and cortisol that way. So, how you eat impacts cortisol. So again, looking at the schedule, if you're doing 3 full body days and you're doing the conditioning days, right? To me, for the average general population person that wants to get, stronger, faster, better conditioned, that's going to be the perfect schedule for a couple of reasons. And I'm basing this off of how I would write this program, Dave. So, like, I'm going to write every program considering the 6 or 7 foundational movement patterns. And so, if we're considering the movement patterns every single day, whether it's primary squat, primary push, primary hinge, or secondary and doing one of the other ones primary, you're going to cover all of your bases. Versus, if you miss a day, you're still getting stimulation in all of those muscle groups, right? Versus, if you give yourself the bro split, back and buys, chest and tries, legs and abs, whatever. If you miss one day, you're screwed because all that volume goes out the window, right?
right
But if you're doing a full body split, which is what I recommend for most parents, you're going to ensure that you're getting at least the moderate amount of volume for you to create some form of adaptation. And then the conditioning's in there, obviously, for a number of different reasons. So again, that looks like, let's just, as an example, let's say Monday is your push emphasis with a secondary emphasis on a squat pattern. Wednesday is a hinge emphasis with the secondary emphasis on a push pattern. And then Friday would be your squat emphasis with the secondary emphasis on, you actually could do like pull or lunge or something like that on that day. But those other foundational movement patterns are also going to fall into those other days. They just become supplemental or accessory movements. And then we'll
yeah
we'll train we'll train core every day. And then what's great is, like, if you have to cut your workout short, or if you miss something, you can come in on, like, your conditioning day and say for 10 minutes, you can make up like your bicep work or your tricep work. If you have an area that you're really lagging in and say you're working with somebody, you can communicate that to them and say, like, I would really like to work on my obliques or my core. You can add those things in a manner in which usually we'll do like more of the higher rep stuff like metabolic stress because that's easier to recover from. Right. So if you look at, and we've talked about this in the very beginning, what the window is for recovery, but just to kind of reiterate that, the smaller muscle groups is about 12 to 24 hours. And then as you go into the bigger muscle groups, it goes from 48 to 72 hours to be able to recover from those things. So it really just depends on if you're using, mechanical tension, metabolic stress, or just sheer strength within your rep ranges. Will kind of that will kind of tell you where you can go. And then you can really take that and just run that for 4 to 6 weeks and then just try to progress everything using progressive overload. And then you get back to the top and you switch the exercises up, right?
So
Versus
don't do the same exercises after 6 weeks at least.
yeah, I would rotate. I mean,
Which is crazy that I still see people doing it.
yeah, I mean, we will rotate out after 3 to 4 weeks, depending again on what I'm seeing. If Dave is telling me, look, dude, that combination of the single leg RDL and the reverse lunge, which you'll have, either you've already seen it or you'll see it tomorrow or something, or next week or something like that. But man, that really has made my glutes and my hamstrings, like I feel that so much, and I'm a good sore, and then the soreness goes away and I'm ready to do it
But
again.
isn't that growing as not only like a lifter, but as parent who can handle his child? Is like, I look forward to doing the stuff that is going to be hard in the gym where I used to veer away from it as the younger lifter
Yeah.
because I was not as experienced. It's like, hey, I don't really like doing, let's just say front squats, right? I hated front squats. So I would never do them. And now what do we do a lot of? Because you know that it's a weak point. You know that I hate doing them.
It's same. I
Yeah.
I have
Who enjoys them? And if you do enjoy them, you are a psycho. I
have
do believe.
shied away from those anterior loaded patterns, right? So anterior is the front of the body, posterior is the back of the body. Anything. So in fairness, probably for you too, but in fairness, this position for you and I does not feel
Yeah.
good at all on our shoulders, right? But again, there's other ways, right?
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you're a long femored person and you really want to do front squats, but man, it just kills your knees and you just cannot get to parallel to create that full stretch, just put plates under your heels. And then now you've created this position almost like a hack squat, which is probably the best squat pattern to grow your quads because it creates that, like, you're taking your quad from, straight up and down to almost like this. I mean, that's wide open stretch, right? So that position is where is going to be the best for that quad development. And so for me, like, because of the pain that it causes in my shoulders and my knees, I've kind of shied away from those things for a long time. I'll do some front box squats with like the SSB sitting here, but
Yeah.
again, it almost turns into Zercher because that bar will kind of
Right.
slide down. And
Yeah.
so I would shy away from those things. In the last 2 months, I've tried to really pattern those or really program the anterior patterns, whether it be a front rack step up or a front rack box squat or a front rack, just a full squat, because I don't do enough of that stuff. And I think that's where a lot of people kind of tend to either misinterpret the data and what we do and how we program. It's because they're not doing the things that they need to do um, to improve their weaknesses. And so, as painful as they are, there's a way you can do things. Just as an example, if you're somebody like me that, I have to have a bar push, heavy weighted bar to get my hands into that front rack position, right? So doing a traditional, clean style front squat is completely out for me in my current mobility. It's just what it is. So am I going to spend 20 minutes a day trying to like get this down, or do I just scratch that itch another way? So I put the straps on the bar and the straps come out to here, and now I can hold here.
Right.
If that becomes problematic and as I go heavier, then what I can do, and Christian Thibodeau talked about this. He did some, and you know who I'm talking about, the T Nation guy.
Yeah, yeah, I
He's
love
like a
him. Yeah,
French
no, he's
version
great.
of me and how he looks.
He's like
Uh,
a is he French or is he French Canadian?
he's French Canadian.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Yeah, every time I hear him talk, he's so soft spoken, but he's like
he
so
is.
jacked like
Yeah.
yourself. Yeah.
So, like, what he'll say is that, and he has data to support this, and so does Poliquin because he's a Poliquin disciple, is that he'll just get rid of the front squat altogether and have him go Zercher. Okay. Now, Zercher's not super fun, especially if your posterior chain is very weak because you hold the bar here and it tends to want to make you pull forward. So you have to fight with your and strengthen your upper back to stay more upright. But they found that what he found is that the carryover was the exact same as the front rack front squat. So why would we go through all of the pressure and the pain in this position when we could just bring it right here? Or if you're well off enough, you can just order a harness and set the bar there, and then you just put your hands here and you do your squats and it's front loaded sitting on the harness.
Yeah.
Um
Or by the
so
SSB.
or you could do the SSB, but again, it kind of, you really have to fight to keep that thing upright, and it's just
Right.
it kind of becomes problematic. So I think like I know I'm getting off topic here, but the Zercher becomes like that perfect position, and God, does it do so many things. So that's why we do these
Right.
compound movements
Yeah.
in these full body sessions because you are covering more bases than what you think you are.
Yeah. And to take it back to the role of fitness for parents, there was something that I wanted to talk about on the pod. You had Emily doing, I don't know what to call it. I actually forgot what you called it in the thing, like front dumbbell carry,
Mm-hmm.
like this, and the dumbbells were right here.
Yeah.
And I said, and she literally like it clicked for her right away. She said, "Hey, can you hand me the 30-pound dumbbells because our son he's like 23 pounds, something like that." She said, "Well, I want to grab the 30s because he's going to be 30 pounds eventually. He's already
Right.
past 20 pounds." And she said, "Oh, he's getting me to try to prepare for baby number 2." And we were joking about it in the, I mean, but she said like that's smart. Like now, if I'm carrying something else plus him, this makes so much sense. And then of course, if they're both children, that is functional. And she was like, this is fun for me because now I can tell myself, hey, I have worked on this and now it's not hard. We toss them around like a football around the house. And you said you're covering all your bases. I can carry him Zercher. I can carry him behind. I can carry him in the front. Like it's
Any
perfect.
female that's had one child going into the second child understands that concept, right? So if she or anybody else, you're like, I want to have a second kid or a third kid, you understand the strain to have that interior loaded child in this position that puts on your upper back and your lower back. So if you're constantly training those positions, whether it be a Zercher or a carry or whatever, right? You're going to be more prepared to handle
I'm
that
convinced that's why
pregnancy.
she wants to get, another kid in this house. If she says, I want to see how jacked I can be, during pregnancy.
There you
I
go.
think she
I
already
mean,
knows
like,
what's coming. Yeah.
yeah, so there's a rhyme and a reason behind this stuff. It's not just there. Like the farmer's carry is the perfect example, to I can go and now carry all the groceries, or I can grab bags of soil and just walk with them. And people tell me all the time, it's not like it's almost a surprise that they're like, I can now do these normal things and it just doesn't cause me
And
any
and
type
our
of
parents did
stress.
them like it was nothing
Yeah.
back in the day,
Well,
or
and that's
maybe they
what's
did
got
need
lost.
assistance. Yeah.
Yeah. And in just generally, like, sports coaches are talking about now how kids just aren't they're coming to them and they haven't played as much. So they're more likely to get injured because they haven't had all of those high contacts that we had from jumping off roofs and jumping off trees and,
Yeah. You
riding
playing
BMX
backyard
bikes.
football where it was
Yeah.
tackle with
Yeah.
no pads. It
Or
was just
like
like tackle that kid. That's it.
when someone tries to tell me like, max effort's stupid, it's like, really? Do you remember when you were like 10 years old and you saw that rock over there and it looked impossible to pick up, but you went and tried to pick it up anyways?
That's max effort.
That's max effort, right? And did you get hurt? No. because again, the tendon will take over, but that's regardless of the point. It's that we do these things. There's a reason why we do these things, and all of them, I think, again, mother of all qualities, start with strength, right? If you train this way, the aesthetics are going to come with the nutrition. You're going to become more fit and more lean and more muscular,
Yeah,
and you're going to lose body fat in that process. But
right.
if you train specifically for aesthetics and you're doing nothing but high reps all the time, you're just all show and no go. There's not going to be any carryover to like the real life things that you're going to experience or potentially experience, like getting in a car accident or having to push a car that broke down or whatever, right? You're not going to be as prepared in those situations to be able to handle those different stressors. It's like somebody told me one time, they're like, dude, you're built up here to like withstand car accidents just because of like how my neck and traps are big like that. It's like, not that women have to have that yoke like that, but if it's strong, you're going to be better off in those situations where you might have some whiplash or something like that. And I think that kind of stuff gets lost in translation when people are training. They don't really understand the concept of why it's important to be stronger, because everybody wants to make it about what they look like.
Yeah, I mean that's the biggest realization that I've had throughout this summer was I have to stop worrying about what I look like, and now I'm more focused on what am I capable of. And it's funny you mentioned the neck thing, by the way. I was looking up neck training the other day, and I was like, man, I wonder if I could get my neck like even thicker than it already is. I don't know why it came to my mind. I was just thinking about neck training and just trying to be gigantic.
You can, I think, like, so a lot of what you do when you're growing up and you hit puberty and all those things have like this massive carryover. So like I was really big on, we did tons of power cleans, tons of shrugs, tons of neck work, tons of bench and tons of curls. So naturally, I ended up with a barrel chest, broad shoulders, big traps, big neck, and biceps. So I'm always fighting to get my triceps bigger because I didn't do a lot of that stuff in high school. So it's one of those things where, you have to, the neck can adapt just like the neck muscles can adapt. You just have to know how to train them. But again, Dave, if we do enough trap bar deadlift, if we do enough deadlift, if we do enough shrugs, you're gonna cover a lot of those bases.
Sure, and we do all those things.
Yeah. Um, but generally I think like again when you follow that full body template, I mean the moral of the story is you're gonna allow yourself, and just so people understand, when you're doing full body and you're making sure that you put the 6 or 7 foundational movement patterns in there, we're talking about squat, push, pull, hinge, lunge, carry, right? So carrying something. And then I say 7 just because I put rotate in there. That's like my seventh, is to make sure you're doing rotational work, because everything in life starts and stops at the
Yeah,
hips. So if you're incorporating those things, even if you never do like one bicep training session, you're still hitting your biceps through pull,
right.
right? Now, if somebody needs extra work, again, it depends. But if somebody needs extra work, they can add that in there, and there's the freedom to be able to do that.
Yeah, and I think too, like if you're doing 3 full body, like you said, like if they only get 2 of them, at least they had 2 sessions, and this is something that I've, like, had an issue with is some clients will, like, only do the upper, only do the lower because I think switching to the best idea for definitely parents, that's for sure,
Yeah.
because you say you're too busy, hey, like, you're still getting in all the functional movements
Well,
that you
and
need to get
again,
done.
it's a highly demanding routine as far as metabolically speaking, to train your entire body specifically with specific movements for different body parts. That's metabolically demanding. I don't care how you look at it. Like, is it the 100% like most ideal for somebody that has unlimited amount of time? Probably not. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about people that have an hour a day, 4 to 5 days a week. Those people are going to benefit the most from full body training sessions.
Yeah, so you already stated it, that's the plan. 3 full body, 2 to 3 conditioning, 1 free active recovery walk day. A lot of growth this summer, I think, for both of us. It's good. It's nice to have the school year back in session, though.
Yeah, it's definitely been a summer for growth and just learning how to, and I'm still working on figuring some things out for myself physically and mentally, but it's definitely been, eye-opening on what it really means to like, not that I've not always given my kids my all, but to really just kind of let them, cut loose on their time and then let them tell me, hey, I want to go, if Jack wants to go hit some balls or whatever, then I make the time for him to do that, or whatever the girls want to do, then I make the time for them to do that, instead of saying like, oh, I gotta do this piece of work, I gotta do that piece of work. I'm scheduling myself and my things to where there's time for me to be able to do that.
Right. And sometimes, at least in my case, I'm sure with yours, you'd rather be doing it at 2 p.m., but sometimes you're doing it at 8 p.m. and takes away from the Justin and Megan time, as it takes away from the Dave and Emily time. But it's the only time she gets it done is in the garage at 8 p.m.
Dude, I
almost
cleaned
every
out
night.
my refrigerator at 9 o'clock last night. It is what it is.
This is the time to do it. There's no kids
You
running
find
around.
things and
It's
you're like,
easy.
well, yeah, this is what needs to get done, so I'm going to do it.
And part of the fitness is not being winded and unable to do that by yourself, right?
Yeah, I'm like lifting whole drawers of food out and setting them on the counter and washing things. Yeah. Well, so again, interesting year for us. So, like, you remember how I got in that real bad accident? She totaled her car yesterday.
Wow, I hope she's okay.
Yeah. And again, not her fault. Somebody ran a red light and pulled out right in front of her, and she is
Jeez.
okay. She's got some scrapes and stuff, but she's back at work today because she's just a trooper. But so she was home yesterday, and our fridge has not been working properly. And it just reminds me of that joke, like, hey, is your refrigerator running? Yeah, well, you better go catch it.
You say, no, it's not, and
So
I need
it's
some
not
help over here.
the fan broke, so the temperature modulation from top to bottom is way off. So up here it's like 60 degrees, down here it's like below 0. So shit down here is freezing, stuff up here is going bad. So we're having to move things around, and so we had somebody come out today to look at it, and they fixed the fan. It's instead of us having to just completely replace it, it's good to go now. But I wanted to get in there and make sure that he could get to what he needed to get to without having to futz with a bunch of stuff and get it done and get out of here. And she was very sore yesterday. Her neck hurt. So, I'm just looking at her. I'm like, hey, just go sit down, and I'm gonna go
You can
take care of
supervise me. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If you don't want me to throw something away, let me know. But if I think that it has any bit of mold or it's gone bad, I'm throwing it away.
Do the
So
weekly clean out. Yeah.
yeah,
I'm definitely the fridge. I'm not gonna say the usual word that people say, but definitely the fridge guy. That's like the hall monitor, but the fridge monitor. Like anything that's like close to being expired is just getting thrown away.
yeah, I don't mess with that stuff because I get triggered by people vomiting and because I don't like to throw up. So if my kids throw up, I'm like losing my mind.
It's definitely
Um,
different of you ingesting food that's expired versus your children or your
For
wife.
sure, for
That's
sure.
for
So I,
sure.
I just don't play any games there. But people that are fit know that the refrigerator is important because obviously that's where all your nourishment comes from. So you have to be able to keep things at the right temperature, and so on and so forth. So
In the right
anyway,
scenario, most of it is not getting thrown away because you're eating most of it anyway. If you eat
yeah,
80% of your fridge, like you're winning.
yeah.
That's
It,
great.
just like dumb stuff that gets shoved in the back like salsa. Salsa never goes bad, but to me, if it's been in there for 6 months, like no, I'm getting rid of it.
I'm a week and a half around salsa. I think after a while, it's gotta go. Well, great. I think we're going to end it on salsa talk. This has been another episode of the Conjugate Dads podcast. Thank you so much for Justin Commodores and Common Athlete Performance Coaching. I'm Dave Chase. Bye-bye.